Okay, so this is going to be an update video to the two previous videos that I did on my frame, and I now have the final version of the frame here. One here on the right, and I built it a little bit differently than I did on the second to last version here on the left. My original goal in this frame design was to have a lighter setup for more cinematic video, but Tomoquads, he wanted to make a more versatile frame here to allow for the bigger motors. So on the original design that I was kind of promoting, I wanted to limit the motor size to the motors with the 9mm hole pattern, which is going to be the smaller motors. And in the case that this particular one I built here was the 1206 4500 kV motors from GIP RC that has the 9mm hole pattern. There's a bunch of motors that will have that hole pattern, but you can't put anything like a 1407 motor or 1408 or anything bigger on this frame. But in an updated frame, the biggest change has been to allow for the motors with a 12mm hole pattern, so there's a slot here instead of just a single M2 hole, and that was the major change. The other major change was to accommodate the larger motor. We went with a thicker bottom plate, so it's a 2.5mm bottom plate instead of a 2mm bottom plate. And then the arm brace in the front here is now 2.5mm instead of 2mm to sort of beef it up a little bit, but also now it is significantly heavier. Since I was pretty sure that people were going to build this on the heavy side because the bigger motors are allowed, I think that's what people seem to want. They want to have frames, even though they're not really weren't designed for that in the beginning. They want to put big motors on anyway. So I went with this setup here with the HGLRC 1407 3600 kV motors. In fact, what I decided to do is I went with all the parts that were in the XJB145. So these are the motors, the 4-in-1 AC, flight controller, and video transmitter from the XJB145. So if you have that model and you want to transfer your parts over to this frame and then just add like a Caddx Turtle or a Split Mini V2, then this is what your build will end up looking like. It'll look like this. So these are the same parts from the XJB145, motors and electronics, and I just added in this case a Caddx Turtle V2, and then this is how I built this out. And let me just go ahead and give you the weight measurements here. Okay, so this is without the battery, of course. Motors and props, everything fully built, 164 grams. And this, just for reference, this is my lighter setup build, and it's coming at 130 grams. So it's 35 grams lighter than the heavier build with the bigger motors. Okay, so a few more things to be aware of. One of the goals of this design was to have jello-free video. I discovered that if you fly around with bent props like I did on this one, so I've crashed here a few times, you will still get jello even with this TPU mount, and I did get that also on the original design. Even on the lighter setup with bent props, you still get jello because it's just too much vibration for even the TPU to dampen out. And then the other thing is I'm going to have Tomoquads redesign or update the TPU insert here, because with the bigger motors now at high throttle, even with a good PID tune, you're going to get a little bit of jello in the video because the higher torque of these bigger motors is actually causing jello to get through to these little pieces here. As you can see, these little, I don't know what you would call these little legs here that actually float the actual mount part of the camera. And I think that these just need to be a little bit thicker, and that should help dampen that vibration. So if you do build it with the heavy setup like this instead of a lighter setup, the bigger motors are going to cause more torque issues where that might cause jello on high throttle. That's what I was experiencing on this one. On high throttle, on the lighter setup, I didn't have that problem because obviously the motors are smaller and there's not as much torque. So the current TPU jello mount design here is adequate for the smaller motor, but not enough for the bigger motor. So he's probably going to update that, and then I think he's going to put those files up on Thingiverse so you can just print out some updates. Yeah, so that's where the things stand right now. I don't know if I'll be doing any more updates to this frame design, but it looks pretty good so far. So you've already seen a video from this guy already. If you guys are wondering where's the flight demo, it's the video that I made from the water park. So I'm going to link all the videos, the 2 previous videos on the frame discussion. So if you want more details on the frame that I obviously haven't discussed here because I've already done that in the other 2 previous videos, I'll put those links in the description to those videos, as well as the video for the flight footage for this flying around at the water park. That will also be down in the description, so you guys can check it out and see how it flies. And then of course the link to the frame is also going to be down in the description, along with the parts that I used in this build. So hopefully they'll help you guys out in terms of deciding whether you want to buy the frame or not and give it a try. And let me know if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.